Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LaBerge Casino. TK joining us over at Court Street Cafe today, over in downtown Port Allen, just across the Mississippi River Bridge. First right, second light, there it is. And then I'm in an undisclosed location, presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Go to lasportshall.com. Check out everything on the 2025 induction class this summer, last weekend in June. And then also we're presented by LaBerge Casino, where we did our show this past Saturday inside the sports book, and the sports book was rocking and rolling. Of course, great playoff games this weekend. And Tommy, I have an announcement to make. The Texans and Chargers played. What else we had? We had the Steelers at the Ravens. We had Broncos at the Bills, and we had the Commanders at the Bucks. That's four games.
Packers at Eagles.
Packers at Eagles. Now the sixth playoff game is tonight. Vikings at against the Rams in Arizona. The game's been moved to a neutral site due to the wildfires. So 5 games over the weekend. I said on the radio that I thought the Texans would win the game. They were a 3-point dog. Now I got busy on Saturday after the show and forgot to make the bet, but I put it out there publicly that I had the Texans to win. That's 1-0. Then I actually bet the other games, Tommy. I went 7-0 on bets this weekend. 7-0. I don't want to say that too loudly so that the gambling gods won't stop it, but I won every bet I made this weekend. Now that's it. That's all I'll say.
All right, so you're buying lunch today.
Oh, Coach, I'm getting crab meat on top and a dessert to go. I mean, it's a good Monday, Coach.
I had a good weekend too, I gotta admit. So missed on the Buccaneers last night, but other than that, I've been pretty hot all weekend.
All the unders hit. Now, not on the Texans game, it did not hit, and I didn't say over under on that. But all the other games, the other 5 games that were played. 4 of them on Sunday, all unders hit, and then all the favorites won. Now I didn't say cover. I had some parlays. I mean, it was a good weekend, Tommy. But the bottom line is, as an LSU fan, as someone in Baton Rouge doing the show, and if you're watching this show, chances are you're a Saints fan or a LSU fan or both. Everybody's kind of pulling for Jaden Daniels. So he was a 3.5-point dog at kickoff against the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think a lot of local action was probably on Jaden and the Commanders, probably because hatred for the Bucks and also love for Jaden. And then also the favorites sort of won, the Ravens, the Eagles, and the Bills. And then I think the Texans winning, like a lot of people had the Chargers. And I think if the game had, had been played in Los Angeles, I would have probably gone towards the Chargers. But the game was played in Houston. Everything that the Chargers had gone for. And, oh, by the way, C.J. Stroud is like a Jaden Daniels, man. He's got that special something. I mean, we talk about the quarterback play in the league is down as a whole, 1 through 32, and it probably is. But the first dozen are pretty special. And yes, we know about Mahomes and we know about Allen, but this next crop that's coming up, the Bo Nixes, the Jaden Daniels, the C.J. Strouds. I mean, there's some good young bucks on the way up.
Some really good guys, and Jaden Daniels continues to do things at an amazing pace. First time a rookie in 70 years ever led his team passing yardage and rushing yardage in a playoff game, and he did that. And there were no turnovers, no punts. The only other guy to ever do that in a playoff game was Peyton Manning. So that was pretty good on the road. So Jaden Daniels just continues to get it done. And Ronnie, I watch him run, and, he's not the thickest guy on the field, okay? When Lamar Jackson runs, I mean, he looks like a linebacker when he's running. Jaden Daniels, but you know what? He has helped turn that franchise around 100%. First playoff win in 19 years. I mean, he's a hero. And, we'll see what happens next. They got to go to Detroit, take on the number 1 seed Detroit. The Lions are a 9-point favorite in that one. That'll be next Saturday late night. That'll be a Saturday night game. So we'll be able to preview that on the radio Saturday. But Jaden Daniels, wow. And then back to the Texans. There's a couple of Tigers on the defense there. Derek Stingley and Daniil Hunter, who are doing big things for the Texans, who play incredible defense. They just totally threw Abear off of his game and won that game going away.
Yeah, Herbert had 4 interceptions in that game. I mean, and for a guy who's thought of as being on the cusp of being elite, he just can't seem to get over the hump. Although, look at that division now with the emergence of Knicks in Denver, and you throw in Herbert over there in Los Angeles, and then of course you already have Mahomes in Kansas City, and I think no doubt the Raiders are going to draft a quarterback with the first round pick. So that's going to be a quarterback division to watch, no question about it. But getting back to what Jaden Daniels did, they were trailing in the fourth quarter, so he leads his team from behind, and then not to mention, when did it become? I just the analytics, Tommy, of not taking points drives me effing insane. I thought Brian Kelly was coaching the Commanders the first drive of the game. The Bucks go down, get 3-0 on the board. The Commanders get the ball. Jaden Daniels drives them right down the field. They get get to a 37-yard field goal. They pass it up instead of being 3-3 and hey, nice job, Jaden. We got points. We're good start to the game, the whole nine. Instead, they go for it on fourth down. They don't get it, and you get nothing out of it. And the momentum goes to Tampa. And then they do it again. They go for it inside the 10, and they don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. In my mind, every time you have the football, if you can get points, whether it's 7 or 3, do it.
Well, especially in the first half, I think you got to just put points on the board, just like the extra point. Kick it, get that point on the board in the second quarter. If going for 2 would have tied it up, it'd be a football conventional wisdom. So just take the point. You worry about the 2-point thing later. But but the Chargers went down and got 2 field goals. And here's the point. This was made by Dan Patrick this morning. When the Chargers go down there and get 2 field goals and they're up 6-0, the Texans don't have to change their game plan offensively or defensively. But if the Chargers get touchdowns in there, then you're down 14-0. You might have to think about changing the plan a little bit. Although it was an excellent point by Dan Patrick, and I learned from it. And, so I'm like you. Get some points on the board. I mean, most field goals these days are automatic. I mean, we have misses and we had the upright thing, but I say get the points, put the points on the board. Now, second half, you can treat it a little differently depending on the clock, home or away. I mean, then you got other factors into your decision.
100% agree. I mean, fourth quarter different, maybe even half that third quarter, depending on all the what's, buts, and what's, but nuts, but, and what's. But first half, tack on. And I mean, unless it's a 55-yard field goal, that's different. Now the decision is punt or go for it. But a 37-yard field goal in the NFL these days, especially, in good weather is, I don't know, 90+%, so.
And a lot of games are indoors, and then it's definitely 90+%.
Yeah, so just go ahead. It drives me crazy now. The Commanders were able to overcome it. They go for it a couple of times, don't get it, and in the third try, were able to get it on fourth down on another drive and got the touchdown. But anyway, so 9 points it could have been 7. It ended up being all right. Whatever. I guess you can kind of say it's about the same, but I don't know. It just drives me crazy. And we saw it with Brian Kelly. Opening drive this year against USC on the road, you have a chance to go up 3-0 and you don't get it. And then last year against Florida State.
While we wait for Ryan to jump back in, don't forget, I know it's only Monday, but don't forget Sports Shorts Radio Saturday mornings from 10 to 12. This week we'll be at the Walk-Ons in Brewley. We usually pump that up a little more on Wednesday, Friday, but giving you Monday folks a little dose at, don't forget, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Sports Shorts Radio on a Saturday. And again, this week live from the Walk-Ons in Brewley.
All right, so the national championship game is on the horizon. We obviously have the playoffs this week, but we got the national championship game next week. The line started off 9.5. Some lines had it 10. As far as Ohio State being a 9.5 to 10-point favorite over Notre Dame, it's come down.
It's down to 8 points. next Monday night in Atlanta. Those weather conditions will be perfect. And Notre Dame announced yesterday starting offensive tackle who started all 15 games for him. He's a true freshman, but he started all his games. Will not play next Monday. Ruled out. Not questionable, not day to day. We know they lost their defensive lineman 2 games ago, and that's a couple of guys on the line that won't be there. But as you said, the point spread has come down from 9.5 to 8. And the over-under on the game's 45.5, Ronnie. That's a little bit low in college football. Not real low, but a little bit low. But Ohio State, Notre Dame, defense, 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 what they're known for. I clearly think Ohio State has more offensive firepower, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm looking forward to that game. Right now, 1 week from kickoff, I think it's an Ohio State win.
If you like Ohio State, Tommy, I don't know if you wait for it. I might jump on the 8 and bet the Bucks. I don't think it can go a lot lower, especially mentioning a starting tackle on offense, a starting tackle on defense are not going to play. I don't. What leads you to believe that it would go? The line would go lower, other than maybe just some big money that loves the Irish coming in. Maybe it goes to 7.5. I can't imagine it goes less. The reality is that. Who do you think has a better chance on offense to bust through? I think it's clearly Ohio State. I mean, if you watch Ohio State's defense, how do you think Notre Dame's going to maneuver the football? I mean, they're just so limited on offense. Yeah, their quarterback's gritty and gutty, and they move the chains 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and they show toughness and all that kind of stuff. But that Ohio State defense is literally the best in the country, and there ain't no question about it. So I think, if you like Ohio State, jump on the 8. I think if anything, it goes the other way as we get closer to kickoff. At this point, it might turn and go back to 9 or something. And as much as between these two teams, I don't really have love for either. I do have a little more love for Notre Dame. My dad. Pulled for Notre Dame when, obviously he was an LSU fan, but he liked Notre Dame. And of course it was the Holy Cross tie and everything, and being Catholic and everything. Obviously with Verge Osbury's son being a starting linebacker, a guy we all know. And for Verge, of course, assistant athletic director at LSU, and his son playing for Notre Dame from Baton Rouge. So, he pulling for them. There's a local tie. But I think you should load up on Ohio State at this point if you like the Buckeyes.
I agree completely. Dave in Vegas, who I worked with, used to say, pick the team you think's going to win the game, and then bet the line, whatever it is, because the wise guys, they have the line for a reason to try to get people to bet both. Bet the team you're going to think. I agree with you, and I may do that here a little later this morning. Get something down on Ohio State, and then depending on what happens, you can always place another bet. You can sometimes the ESPN bet. You can cancel a bet up until the day before the game. So you could cancel it and rewager on a higher number, or you could, go to the sports book at LeBear's.
LSU basketball, men's and women. The women are in action today. Remember, undefeated, haven't lost all season. They take on Vanderbilt tonight at the PMAC, and then tomorrow the men 0-3 in conference play. They've got to get off the schneid. They've got a tough ask. Arkansas at home. John Calipari, going to be weird to see him in the red tie or the red pullover instead of the Kentucky clothes, the Kentucky suit. He'll be bringing the Razorbacks to PMAC. 8:00 game Tuesday night. I'll be there for that one.
Well, Ronnie, Arkansas 0-3 in league play too, and that's more of a surprise than LSU being 0-3. So one of these teams needs to get off the schneid, and the other one's going to be looking at 4-0 when they wake up in the morning. 0-4.
And look, John Calipari's got a lot more heat on him than McMahon does in Baton Rouge if they go 0-4. That's for sure. The Pelicans getting better. They were a 13.5-point dog yesterday. They cover, but they lose by 1. Zion Williamson did play. So now you got to, like when you bet the Pelicans, you got to kind of figure it out a little more. Before it was just take whoever they were playing. When you didn't have the big 3 playing, just take whoever they're playing. You're going to win 3 out of every 4 bets. But now with Zion back, McCollum back, it's different. You gotta figure if they're going to win or cover or whatever. And it looks like they're a much better team than they were a month ago. Still not stacking any wins though. Tonight, NFL, who you got, TK?
Wow, that's going to be a close one. I got which Sam Darnold shows up, I guess, is the big question. And I gotta like the Vikings just because they've won a whole lot more games. The Rams displaced. How focused can they get? I mean, they'll get focused when they kick off, but what's going on in their lives and families and friends is something. I'm gonna have to go with the Vikings in this neutral site game. I'm curious how many people will be at the game. Hey, somebody said if you're a Cardinals fan, you can go to this game and say, "Hey, I went to a playoff game this year. Just didn't happen to have the Cardinals in it, but it was in their stadium due to the horrific wildfire situation." So that's a long answer to your question, but I like the Vikings to get it done against the Rams tonight.
Yeah, I would say that that's where I'm going too. Sam Darnold.
And you're on the heater, so I mean, I'm like following you to the window.
Yeah, don't say that too loud, Tommy. Keep it down. I had a good weekend. That's it. Don't want to brag too much. Don't want to say anything. Don't want the Gremlin gods to get me. But I like the Vikings a lot, and I just think with the Chargers, with the Rams, with everything, it's the same thing the Chargers went through. Now they've had a few more days to wrap their head around it. The Vikings travel well. They've got fans. They haven't they feel good about their chances. They're not going to have a home game in the next round, right? So go ahead and would they have a home game in the next?
No, they'll be at Philadelphia. The winner
Uh,
of tonight's game goes to
right. So
Philadelphia
you're not
next
going to have.
Sunday.
And if you were planning to go to Los Angeles, this one, easily move your stuff to Phoenix. Or if you're like, hey, once you saw it was moved to Phoenix, you're like, Phoenix is a little easier than Los Angeles, and then you go play golf and all these other things. All right, I'm gonna go to Phoenix. So I think you're gonna have a good amount of Vikings fans. They travel well, although Los Angeles is closer, no doubt about it. And there'll be a lot of Rams fans, but it won't be like it was. It won't be 90-10 or 85-15 like it was going to be in Los Angeles. It might be more 75-25 or something like that, 70-30 now that it's in Phoenix. And it won't be as wild a crowd because it's a mutual site. So I think that benefits the Vikings. They'll be able to communicate, and I like the Vikings -2.5. All right, TK, tell us about Court Street Cafe.
Well, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 7 days a week. The steak night on Saturday is a huge thing. Make your plans. I know Saturday's still a few days away, but do that. They got a great brunch on Sunday with music and mimosas, and the food here is really good. Jason and his staff do a super job on Court Street in Port Allen, just a few minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge, and you're right here. Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Hit them up on Facebook and Instagram. They always post lunch specials, dinner specials, drink specials, the Saturday night steak special. Stop by Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. You'll be glad you did.
LSU baseball starts 1 month tomorrow. We got the TGL golf we'll talk about over the next few weeks. So a lot of other topics to get to. We'll be back on Wednesday for more Sports Shorts Daily. Until then, like and share this video. Have a great one, everybody. And we'll see you on Wednesday morning. Thanks for watching Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBears Casino in Baton Rouge.